this, it is a normal travel day in India. Passengers are packing their packs and leaving their hometown, rushing to the airport, and suddenly they saw in the screen that your flight has been cancelled. Not just one or two, but in bulks. Passengers do not know what to do. Their mobile phones in their hand, trying to understand what the situation is. This is how the Indigo flight shutdown began. It was all started in the first week of December 2025. Within a few days, thousands of flights have been cancelled or delayed. For India, a country where half of the people or half of the domestic flyers chose Indigo, this feels like the system itself totally collapsed. So why did this happen? It happened not because of any foreigners or any outsiders. The reason came inside the very airline itself. So let's get all the explanations in detail. Welcome to Youturn, and this is Nandini Madheshwaran. This Indigo shutdown was not started yesterday or today. To understand this, we must go back to 2024. In 2024, the government introduced the new flight duty time limitation, that is FTDL rules. This rule was mainly imposed or introduced to protect the pilots and crew members from overwork. Aviation, unlike other industries, it needs extreme care and extreme alertness because one restless pilot can risk hundreds of lives in a plane. So, the 2024 rules say the pilots must get proper time to rest. The number of flights per pilot per day must be reduced. Night shift timings must be made very stricter. Airlines must redesign the rosters according to the new rest schedules. So every airline was given enough time to prepare. These airlines adjusted by either cutting the flights or hiring new staffs. But Indigo did not do any of these things. They underestimated the rule and kept on increasing their flight schedules, and they did not hire new staffs at all. They believed they somehow could manage, and they did not cut the flights before the rules became active. Their crew planning was very weak, and the rosters were messed up, and they did not have enough rested staff to maintain such huge planes in which the Indigo was scheduled. Instead of reducing the flights ahead of time, Indigo kept on selling the tickets, and at the last minute they cancelled the flight in huge numbers when the pilots were unavailable. So what is the result of this? A huge, massive, complete operational shutdown. Passengers began to suffer immediately. Families who were planned for vacational trips got stranded for long queue of about 12 to 20 hours. Students missed their exams and employees missed their interviews. Some people ran out of money for staying at hotels, and even elder passengers stayed at the long queue without proper communication. Airports looked like refugee camps. Many of them were sleeping on the floor, and the baggage got lost, and refund took many days. And worst of all, no one knew that when the things would become normal. So all these chaos happened only because of the problem of monopoly. But before understanding the problem of monopoly, we must understand the long history of Indigo. Indigo was started in 2006 as a private airline founded by Rahul Bhatia and Rakesh Gangwal. It started very small, but with smarter decisions and aggressive pricings and huge aircraft order, Indigo slowly becomes India's one of the largest airlines. Then came a time when many Indian airlines got collapsed, like Jet Airways, Kingfisher, Go First and Air India, and several other smaller airlines. Every time when another airline died, Indigo grew very stronger. The Indian aviation environment slowly pushed the other airlines out intentionally or unintentionally, but it indirectly helped Indigo to grow even more stronger and faster. As a result, in 2023 to 25, Indigo became so big that it controlled 60% of the total domestic market of Indian Airways. That means 6 out of 10 Indian citizens are flying with Indigo. This is how monopoly forms, not through force or not through any law, but through steady and slow elimination of competitions, and sometimes through government inaction. Monopoly is something when a company has an exclusive control over the service or a product by a single entity without any competition, and that is how Indigo's monopoly works on every route of Indian Airway. Monopoly happens when one single airline grows too fast, expands too much, and when other smaller airlines struggle with financial losses and the government policies do not support competitions. When fuel taxes stay high and airports give more slots to one dominant airline and the smaller airlines cannot survive the cost and larger airlines influence pricing. In India, this is what exactly happened. When Spice collapsed, Indigo took the roots. When Go First collapsed, Indigo again took its roots. When SpiceJet struggled, Indigo expanded even more further. But before Indigo, there was another larger group that was the pride of India was Air India, which carried the Indian flag across the world. Air India was founded in 1932 by J.R.D. Tata as Tata Airlines. In 1953, under Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, the government of India nationalized the Air India under the Air Corporations Act 1953. The Nehru government decided that India needs a state-controlled national carrier. So, it compulsorily acquired Tata's Airlines along with the 8 other private carrier, which they merged them into 2 government entities. One is Air India International for overseas routes and the other is Indian Airlines for domestic flyers. But slowly, everything began to fall apart. Bad management decisions and political interference, outdated aircraft and the staff costing cost high pushed the Air India into debt. Instead of running like a professional airlines, it became another government department with wings. Losses grew year after year. Politicians interfered in the flight routes, appointments and buying the aircrafts. Many flights ran half empty. Every year the government had to pay more taxes on the Air India just to keep it alive. By the time when we reached 2010s, the airline has about 60,000 crore in debt. The government finally accepted the truth that the Air India could not be repaired under government control. So in 2022, after multiple attempts to revive it, the government handed over to the original owner that was found in 1932, which is Tata Groups. And now the government does not have any of its own national carrier. Tata took over to rebuild it and modernize the fleet and improve the customer service and bring back life to it. While it was repairing Air India, Indigo grew even more faster. When Air India was busy fixing itself, Indigo grew even more stronger, faster and filling most of the markets. Slowly, air travel in India became Indigo versus everyone else. So that is why monopoly is very dangerous. When Indigo fell, the total Indian aviation fell with it. So what is the government doing now? The government ordered to investigate Indigo's planning failure, a 5% cut in Indigo's winter schedule and to refund all the passengers correctly. But most people feel that this response itself came very late. And here's how things collapsed day by day. On day 1, around 200 to 500 flights were cancelled. People thought it was a technical glitch. Day 2, cancellations rose up to 500. Major airports became so crowded. On day 3, more than 1000 flights have been cancelled. Domestic airlines almost froze. On day 4, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore and Chennai, like all major airports, saw long lines where the passengers were sleeping on the floor. And on day 5, the DGCA stepped in, reviewing Indigo's air operations, and most of the flights were forcefully cut for safety operations. And on day 6, the government had ordered Indigo to cut down its schedule by 5% and they told the airlines not to sell new tickets on sensitive routes. And on day 7, we can see that 4,000 flights have been cancelled, in which it was affecting tourism, business and everything. So the biggest question here is, if an airline which has 60% or which controls 60% of the aviation market in India, when it collapses, the first question is not what did the airline do wrong. The first question is what did the government do? Why the government is allowing such big things to happen? How did the government allow to grow such a monopoly? When the crisis finally hit, the government reacted to it but did not prevent it. They stepped in only after thousands and lakhs of passengers were suffering in the airport. Indigo failed in planning, of course, yes, but the government failed in oversight to build competitions and to protect the passengers from such a collapse. So air travel is not just a business, it is a public responsibility. So both the airlines and the government must answer the people for the chaos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Youturn is an independent media that has been fighting to combat fake news and false information that has been widely spreading in internet and social media. If you find our work worth it, please do support us by scanning the QR code on the screen. And if you find any difficulties in scanning the QR code, you can also support us by touching the link in the description called Support Our Fact Check Initiatives.